Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andrew from AR Media. In tonight's video, I want to review The Nun on 4K UHD Blu-ray. Now, I missed this one in theater, so I was pumped to give this one a watch, even though I have not heard the best things about the movie itself. So let's get into the movie itself. Now, I'm a big fan of the Conjuring universe and the movies that have explored the Conjuring universe, but I will say that Annabelle is by far the weakest link. But with Annabelle Creation coming as a prequel, it kind of brought new life to that franchise, and I thought this was going to do the same thing with The Conjuring, and in some ways it did. In some ways it brought more backstory to the nun, but a lot of this is just based on jump scares, and it didn't have a ton of rich backstory to it like Annabelle Creation did. Now, this definitely fell flat to me, and it definitely fell short, but it's not nearly as bad as Annabelle, and I think it's definitely a rent it or a buy it if you're a big horror fan and a fan of the Conjuring franchise itself. Now, as a big horror fan and Conjuring fan, I did enjoy it for what it was. I didn't think it was its best, but I did think the jump scares were somewhat effective, and I thought the picture quality was great, which we'll get to now. So now let's get to the picture quality on this. And I was really impressed with the picture quality on this. So from what I could gather, this is a 2K digital intermediate, upscaled to 4K. And this looks phenomenal. And really what I would compare this to is It, another Warner Brothers release and another horror release. This has very, very nice picture quality. In the daytime scenes, you actually get luscious colors as well. But what this 4K brings from the Blu-ray is a nice uptick in detail, especially on the close-ups, which there's a lot of. So you can see every pore on faces, every facial feature on faces, every hair on faces, every single fiber on the jackets that they're wearing. And this is like an old Gothic background, so all the cobblestone and all the wear and tear on the building is really, really well represented here with the detail. Another standout here from the Blu-ray is the depth. The depth is really good, separating the foreground from the background as someone is walking down a corridor, which happens a lot in this movie, is easily distinguishable from the Blu-ray. Black levels are also deep and inky throughout, which is important in a movie like this where a lot of it is dark. So now let's get to the HDR on this one. So the HDR is pretty great on this one for a couple of reasons. So the first thing I thought when I watched this movie was the HDR isn't going to make really any colors pop, and I was wrong on that because I would say the first half of the movie there are some pretty bright and vibrant spots with some colors that really pop, some greens, some reds, but most of the movie does take place in the dark, in corridors, and that's really where this HDR shines with that shadow detail. Switching from the Blu-ray to the 4K is easily distinguishable that there are a lot more details to be had here. It's a lot easier to tell what's been going on when they're going through these corridors and chasing down these sounds that they hear at night. The video quality on this is just a lot better than the Blu-ray, and that HDR shadow detail is really the standout on this 4K Blu-ray. So now let's get to the audio quality on this 4K Blu-ray, another standout. So this has a Dolby Atmos mix, and I'm a big fan of horror Dolby Atmos mixes. They usually do a great job of utilizing the surround sounds as well as the overheads, and this one does that as well. You get rope sounds overhead, you get rainfalls overhead. The overheads are used and surrounds are used immensely throughout jump scares, throughout chasing things, throughout hearing things around the church at night. The Atmos is used very effectively here and very dynamic, and dialogue is also clear. So very good Atmos mix. So anyway, guys, I'm going to say this is a day one pickup if you're a fan of horror, just to kind of support Warner Brothers, because they canceled The Conjuring 2 in 4K, and they canceled this originally. We did get the physical release, and I'm really hoping that when The Conjuring 3 comes out, we get The Conjuring 1, 2, and 3 on 4K, and that all these new horror movies from Warner Brothers get released on 4K, because there's really no reason they shouldn't be. So go support the studio, go help out if you're a big horror fan. If you're not a horror fan, I would say stay away from this. It's a very generic and very lackluster horror movie compared to what else came out this year, but for my horror hounds, definitely grab this one. So anyway, I'm going to leave a link in the description for this. Using that link helps me get a small kickback so I could review more 4Ks for you. Let me know what you thought of The Nun down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.